So can you study for the SAT? That's a big question that people ask. Some people say that you can't prepare for it. You actually definitely can prepare for the SAT, no question. It definitely does help. Now, interestingly enough, just retaking the SAT, studies show that your score will go up just retaking it, even if you haven't prepared. I find for sure that if you prepare for the SAT, absolutely your score goes up. And there's a couple of reasons. One, you get more comfortable with what's on it. I mean, that just makes sense. You know, if you practice your basketball shot, it gets better, no question. But also, the reason you can prepare and the reason it will improve is because we can sort of predict what's going to be on the test. The various sections are math, reading, writing, and then the essay, which is part of the writing score or writing section. What's on the math? A lot of times people think there's no way you could prep. But it turns out that what's on the math sections of the SAT is kind of predictable. You know, you'd think, well, it could be anything from my 16 years of school or whatever. But it turns out that there are pretty predictable things that come up on the test. And you can either do a course or have a private tutor or just buy a book. Most books out there will isolate what's going to be on the test. I have to recommend my book, of course, but lots of good books will recommend what's going to be on the test. Reading. Now, reading's not exactly the same as math in the sense that we can't say these are the math concepts that will be tested. The passage could be on anything. But it turns out that there are definitely ways to prepare or definitely ways to go about doing the reading section. I have a clip, actually, that you can find that will actually talk specifically about the reading section. So you can go see that clip if that's a question you have. Then the writing, again, writing is just like math. You'd think it could cover all of grammar. Writing is really about grammar on the SAT. You'd think it could cover all of grammar. But it turns out that I find there's really about 12 or 15 things that you can learn or review, go over, practice, and drill that really comprise the SAT writing section. And if you get better at those, your score goes up. You also get better at the way they ask the questions, your score goes up. So practicing really helps. And finally, the essay. Definitely practicing the essay helps. Number one, because we know what they're looking for. If you don't know what they're looking for, it's hard to do what they want. But it turns out there are very specific things that the SAT is looking for. So if you meet those criteria, your score goes up. And a lot of kids are worried about freezing. You know, they give you a topic, will you think of stuff to write about? If you drill and drill and drill, practice a bunch of essay topics, practice coming up with topics, eventually you get better at it, you get more comfortable with it, and most importantly, when the test comes, you'll just trust that you're going to get an essay topic and you will come up with things to write about because you have in the 5 or 6 or 7 practice essays you did. So going in with that comfort will help a lot too. So that's the way that your score can increase on the math, reading, writing, and essay sections.